Hello, beautiful people. I'm taking a break from editing here. I working on November content. I'm a little agitated. Somebody down the street put up Christmas lights. You can't put up Christmas lights. It's not even November yet. It's sacrilege. It's a violation. You can't do that. Cannot do that. Anyway, I have my Halloween decorations out. This is my time of year. And it's pretty impressive. It's got a Wizard of Oz scene with a tornado and a yellow brick road, and there's a house with Dorothy in it. We've got the Wicked Witch, and we've got the Scarecrow and the Tin Man and the Cowardly Lion. And they're standing on the porch looking out, and the whole house is cast in a hue of green for the Emerald City. Very cool. And so I'm representing for Halloween. And then down the street, they've got red and green for Christmas. You can't do that. Like, what's the proper and appropriate date? I think it's the day after Thanksgiving. And I'm not a huge Christmas decorator. I have thought about, and this is sketchy for Oklahoma, I'd probably end up on the evening news. But have you seen those people that do the nativity scene for Christmas, but they do it in zombies? So you've got Mary and Joseph, they're zombies standing over the manger with the zombie baby Jesus, and you've got the wise men and they're zombies, and the angels, they're all zombies. You know, and they're all, the flesh is rotting off of them. It's awesome. And I told Natalie, I'm like, if you and I were not married, like if the fallout would not come back on you, I would do this. But because I love you, I won't make you endure this. But if I lived alone and it was only me that ended up on the evening news and despised by all my neighbors, I would do the zombie nativity. I would do it. Went to go see the new Halloween movie. No spoilers. I'm not going to give you any spoilers. The reviews were bad, but I felt like I needed to finish it. Because the original John Carpenter classic from 1978 sort of propelled me on my love for horror movies, well-made horror flicks. And, I thought the sequel was okay, and then, things just digressed from there. I kind of liked the 2018 Halloween. I mean, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, if you're going to tell the story again 40 years later, I bought it. Then Halloween Kills comes out 2 years later, and it's walk out of the theater bad. I don't know why I didn't just get up. Like, my time is valuable. But I need to finish it. So Halloween Ends come out, and I spent almost 2 hours wanting to claw my eyeballs out with a spoon. No spoilers. I'll just say this. The filmmakers decided, let's take the most unlikable and poorly acted character we can imagine, and let's make 97% of the film about him. It's terrible. It's terrible. Great soundtrack. Great soundtrack. Crap movie. Just terrible. Phone lines are open. Your calls on whatever you want to talk about. Would love a chance to speak with you on this October day. So, I'm on this app. I've been trying to think of how you might handle this situation. This is a total subject change, and it's a much more serious and darker subject. But there is a website and an app called Nextdoor. And it's a way for neighborhoods and communities to connect with each other. Mostly it's first world problems, people bitching about just dumb stuff. Somebody's dog pooped in my lawn, and I don't like it. Right, that kind of thing. And I understand their frustration, but that's kind of what the website is and what the app is. I saw a suspicious vehicle. I think those have utility. Lost dog, you see a lot of that kind of stuff. Nextdoor. And I'm subscribed. And there's a lot of neighborhoods. I mean, a lot more than my own. I don't know why it connects me to people 15 miles away, but somebody who I don't know in a neighborhood 15 miles away from me logs on to Nextdoor and types these words: "Goodbye, I am going to commit suicide." Holy shit. My first thought is we need to say, don't do it. Call someone, talk to someone. There are people who are ready for you to speak to them, and then give them the number to the suicide hotline. And somebody was well ahead of me to do that. And I can't think of what else to do. I don't even know this person. But I began to watch the comments come down in the thread on Nextdoor. And I again thought I was going to have to claw my eyeballs out with a spoon. Jesus loves you. The Lord doesn't make mistakes. God loves you so much, and he would never want you to commit suicide. Over and over. Jesus, 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 God, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. How about you have value even if there is no God? You have value on your own terms. You matter. Your life is worth something on its own because you are here. It's a beautiful thing. Instead, it was the Lord looks upon you as something that he created perfectly. I think somebody may have linked to their church. What? Don't kill yourself. Join us on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock for a great service that's going to be inspiring and instructional for you and the entire family. God! People sometimes ask me, well, why do you go so hard on religion? And I always think to myself, well, there's about 500 reasons. There's a ton of gears in that machine. But I think a few of the big ones are, one, I think it really does diminish self-worth when you are part of a fundie faith that says you must get your worth from another. Two, I think it's a distraction. Why are we dealing with the supernatural and spirits and ghosts and a wizard with his eye in the sky looking down upon a suicidal man? Why are we talking about magic when we should be addressing the real world human problem? Someone who is in such a pit of despair that they are contemplating, or at least declaring they're contemplating ending their own life. Right? Real solutions for real problems in the real world by real people. This makes a hell of a lot of sense to me. And this idea that we're talking in terms of magic and wizards and the spirits will help you. We'll conjure up the spirits and they will fix our problems. Somebody posted, this sounds like a cry for help. Well, I mean, I think perhaps so. Somebody makes the declaration. There is every possibility that they want to be talked out of it, that they're crying out for help. Now, I'm not a mental health expert, but I think it's an opportunity. Human beings caring about human beings, this may have been a cry for help, and this person deserved so much better. Anyway, I'm just going off on a freaking tangent. How would you have handled it? And would you have jumped into the comments and chided all the Jesus freaks? I don't think it would have made any difference because it would have been a distraction. Then it became an argument about religion instead of focusing on the person with the problem. I don't know. I've been thinking about it all day because it happened yesterday, and I'm like, How would you have handled that? I don't know. It's weird. Having a hard time getting excited about the upcoming holidays. I like Thanksgiving and Christmas all right, but the family gets together and they're like, well, we're going to do it on this day and it's going to be at 2:00 and everybody bring a dish. And then we get together and it's the same damn thing every year. And I've had this increasing distance from my bio family over the years. And I'll spare you the story, but I think I've become a bad person. Like, I know logically that I have every reason to distance myself, but, they'll reach out and say, hey, looking forward to seeing you. Hope you can make it. Nobody directly proselytizes to me. They pray over the meal, and there's probably some Jesus T-shirts, and there's a freaking Last Supper painting on the wall. I kid you not, the Last Supper is on the wall. But I mean, it is what it is. It's not like they've called me. It's not like an intervention wherever I walk in and they're all sitting on the couch and they've written a letter. Seth, because we care so much about you, we just want you to meet the Lord. They haven't done that. So why don't I want to be in the room? Why would I rather be home watching, I don't know, Netflix? Somebody said I need to watch Dahmer on Netflix. I haven't started it. I got some other shows in the queue. I'd rather be home and start Dahmer on Netflix than go and break bread with my bio family. Do you feel that at all? And does it get worse as you get older? Like, do you find yourself less and less patient with, or maybe you need people? I don't know. I've changed. Have I just become scarred and calloused? Crotchety, perhaps? A curmudgeon? Have I indeed become the curmudgeon? I do not know. Have you listened to my second podcast yet? Have you subscribed? If not, what the hell is wrong with you? Of course, I'm being facetious. True Stories with Seth Andrews. Just stop right now and go subscribe on your podcast app. True Stories with Seth Andrews. 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you get a 5-minute vignette about something cool and fun and interesting and fascinating and true. We've talked about the Lindbergh kidnapping. We talked recently about a woman who's made hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars by selling the sweat off of her boobs. First, she sold farts she farted into jars and sold the jars for like $5,000 a piece. People paid money for farts in a jar from this woman. And then when she made herself sick and the doctor said, quit making yourself fart so much, farting into a jar 100 times a day may be lucrative, but you really shouldn't do this for your own health and safety. She switched. So now she sits out at the pool and she sweats and she takes jars and she scoops up her boob sweat and she sells it. And I think she's made $200,000. Boob sweat. We told that story on my second podcast. Talked about the guy who became one of the most famous and effective professional football kicking coaches in the history of the game, despite the fact that he cannot walk because he has cerebral palsy. Never kicked a field goal in his life, and yet he trains kickers all across the country. We've talked about technology and the rise of the robots. We've got lost dogs that have been found. A couple of ghost stories. We talk about some legends, and they're based on real events. The cassette tape, and its ties to Nazi Germany. That's the kind of stuff we do all the time. 3 times a week. True Stories with Seth Andrews. Subscribe. Just hit pause right now. No, I'll wait. Hit pause. Go subscribe on your podcast app. And then go through the library because I got... How many have we released so far? Over 40 of them. Oh, look. Somebody on the switchboard at 210. Do I have Zach? And are you with me?
I am Zach.
Zach, I can barely hear you. Hang on. Can everybody else hear Zach?
Just a second. That's on my end. I'll fix that.
I mean, I wonder how much my boob sweat would be worth. I can't imagine. $1.50. maybe. I mean, I have
Is that better, Seth?
boobs are becoming more of a problem as I age. Perhaps that's too much information. I'm sorry, Zach. Go ahead. I think I can hear
Can
you
you hear me
now.
now?
Can you hear me? Okay.
I can.
All right, brother. What's on your mind?
So a few weeks ago, my parents bought a condo last year at the beach. So they invited me and my daughter, to the beach for the week. And I haven't really discussed, my lack of belief with my parents. But I grew up evangelical, Southern Baptist. They know that I pretty abruptly stopped going to church with them a couple of years ago, and haven't really asked too many questions. I feel like it's because she doesn't want to know the answer. But she keeps to my daughter every time she goes over, hey, make sure your parents take you to church. Tell them to take you to church. And so finally, when we go to the beach, we're going to bed, and I see my mom lean over and like forcing her to say her prayers, and my blood was boiling. Like I just at the time I just was at a loss for words. But I'm working on having this conversation with my mom, once and for all. And if she doesn't respect it after that, I've watched your shows about how to with them, but still trying to work up the courage.
Well, it sounds like you already know the answer to your question. I think I try to imagine how she would feel if you were to walk into her life and take someone near and dear to her on her family tree and say, there is no God, right? Or try something along those lines. You really should leave
Right.
church because it's all a bunch of crap. If you were to cross that boundary, you think she'd freak out?
I mean, my brother's younger. I'm 36. I've battled this from the time I was 13. And a couple of years ago is when I finally was able to get over my fear of hell and kick it all to the curb, embrace the scientific side of it. But I mean, so she doesn't have the best relationship with my brother anymore since he's come out as an atheist. But I don't want that to happen. I love my mom. It's a very small part of the inconvenience of it all, but still, it's I listen plenty about how you talk about setting boundaries.
If she's going after your
to do
kid,
that.
right? If she's going after
Yeah.
your kid in a way that usurps your position as parent and guardian, I don't see that as a small thing. And I know you want to keep the
you're right.
peace, and I know you don't want to have a big dust up, and I know, but I think to myself, let's think about your child. Does your child deserve better? All right. Does your child deserve to figure out whether or not this makes sense for them, to learn how to think instead of
Right.
being told what to think? And I think if we look at it in terms of the rights of your child, then this boundary crossing becomes a lot more intense. I think it becomes a lot more critical. I don't want to see you lose a relationship with your mom, but holy shit, man. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's to me, even if that happened, it's saving my kid from what I went through. Battling on and off. Finally took years for me to kick the fear of hell.
I think there may be a way to
So-
approach this that's not escalatory, and this has been a drum I've been pounding recently. The language that we use when we approach people can either help solve the problem or at least give it every opportunity to be solved, or it can just make it worse even when we're in the right. So if you walk in and you say, how dare you do this, that's immediately escalatory. You may be right, but if we're trying to perhaps not snap those bonds, just literally walk in and say, hey, look, I feel like this is something that is really the domain of us as his parents. It's something that if religion and Christianity and God are going to play a part in their lives, I think that needs to happen organically. We're going to raise a curious child. We want this child to become interested in what beliefs are, including your belief. But we find it inappropriate. We just aren't comfortable. This is really something that we would like to handle as parents. I mean, there's a way, I think, to phrase that where you've given it a chance at not becoming hostile. And then, if she hits the roof, then you can pull out I'm sorry, you're in the wrong. You cannot do this. How dare you? This is not your child stuff,
Gotcha.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, but I've done a lot of this.
No, but I mean, I think that makes perfect sense. I think my underlying fear is that I know that she's going to escalate it. That's just the kind of person she is. She's a manipulative.
Oh yeah, now we got some real red flags, right? If she's a manipulator,
I mean,
all right. If she's a manipulator, and there might be some narcissism in play there, right? Then we've got a whole other set of agendas that are not in the interest of you or your child. That's another series
right.
of red flags. So I think you know the answer to your own question. I think you just wanted to talk to somebody at the bar who said, "You got this,
Right.
man. You got it." You know what I'm saying? Just hang in there, keep kicking. And so that's what I'm saying to you, all right?
Well, I appreciate it, Seth. I've been listening for over a year. Keep up the great work.
Zach, you hang in there, and, if you get a chance, send me an email. Let me know how it goes, okay?
I sure will. Thank
All
you.
right, see you later. Lots of little clues
Bye.
in that conversation. Did you hear them before? You probably heard them before I did, Said, "Mom, why don't you go and sell your boob sweat? Keep yourself busy. Maybe make some money on the side." Sorry, I'm stuck on that story. It's just so absurd. It's just so absurd. Yeah, I read about things like that and I lose faith in humanity, which is happening anytime I read. Then when I see a quote from Marjorie Taylor Greene, I lose faith. I think someone was talking to me about the United States, and do I think that our republic is going to survive? And I said, absolutely not. I really don't know that we are. I think we're going to die, and I think we're going to die of stupid. I think we'll die of stupid. I worry about it. Hope not. Chelsea in North Carolina, are you with me?
Yes, I am.
Thanks for calling. What's on your mind?
Well, I was originally going to call about if you're okay with me switching a little bit of the subject. Are you okay with that?
I mean, sure, it's your call. What do you want to talk about?
Well, recently I found out that Republicans are trying to they're curating a bill that will criminalize and try to erase trans people. I'm trans myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, oh my gosh, this couldn't get any worse. And like, it's almost like, it's just infuriating.
We see a whole group of people, an entire culture who I've come to the realization they simply don't want to share this world with anyone who doesn't look or sound like them. It is a celebration of cruelty against people, and it's disheartening. I feel what you feel when I log on to the world, and I think, come on. The only hope I have is that I know at the ground level, at the grassroots, in terms of demographics, population, and culture, the rise of the non-religious are going to, in the next few decades, begin to mitigate some of the damage that's being done. But will we survive the next few decades, right?
Yeah. I think I have enough time, not to take up too much of your time, because I know you got to get on to other
No,
callers.
you're good. What do you want to talk about? What's going on?
I'll just start with what I was originally going to talk about, since that was out of the way. I just wanted to get that off my chest.
Yeah.
I read it today, and it was infuriating to me. I wanted to get it off my chest.
Now, honestly, is regarding what you were talking about. I saw somebody, who was it? I had posted about it earlier, but I don't have it in front of me, where somebody said that the Bible has no pronouns in it. And I thought that was interesting. And I'm like, Yahweh himself called himself I am. There's like 5,000 pronouns in the Bible. Like, it's just, that's what we're up against. We will die of stupid. Go ahead, Chelsea. Tell me what you're thinking.
I think this will go along great with what I think it was it Zach or Zachary was saying, the first caller.
Yeah.
Chosen family is what I wanted to originally talk about, and that's what I'm about to talk about. I recently got new family, chosen family. They are absolutely lovely. They accept me for who I am. Sorry, I'm butchered that. They accept me for who I am, and it's just, they're lovely people, and they happen to be Presbyterians. That does not bother me one bit. They love me regardless of my faith or lack of faith, I should say, because I am agnostic atheist. No matter where, they even heard my friend, which is now my sister, even straight up told me, if you were a Satanist, I'd still be friends with you. That was before we, got family. A little
So,
bit.
if I can
But
jump
yeah,
in, I'm then inferring that your relationship with your bio family is either on the rocks or non existent. And you went out and found people who acted like family, would give you the love and encouragement and support and the challenge and the connection that you craved as family.
yes. And how I did that, if I could give some advice to people, I gave this advice to someone recently, and it just clicked with them, and they were recently out of religion. But let me just get to the advice. The advice is, I would highly recommend, if you don't have any friends, get some friends, start making friends, and consider those good friends, family, because you got to consider friends family before you can actually find your chosen family. And once you find chosen family, you're not going to realize it until they just kind of casually bring it up. Like my chosen mom did. She was like mama bear and all that. Now I didn't get on it. I mean, it didn't click with me at first, but then she kind of brought it up again, and I was like, wait a second, do you mean this? You mean you will be my mom? She said, yes, of course. That's what I meant by mama bear. And it just clicked. It made me so happy. I just cried a little bit.
Hey, there's goodness out
relieving.
there, right? I mean, even though we
Yes.
feel like the world will die of stupid, there is a lot of humanity and humanism and human connection, support, love, goodness. Sometimes we have to stretch to go find it, but I'm glad you found your people, and I appreciate the encouragement, Chelsea. Thanks for sharing that.
Yes, of course. And have a good day.
All right. See you later. True story. I was
Yeah.
giving a speech in, I want to say it was Wichita, Kansas. This was years and years and years ago. Things were really hot with my religious mother and father at the time, and somebody brought it up during the Q&A. How are things with your family, So I talked a little bit about some of the challenges because, I'm the antithesis of what they wanted. They trained up a child, and now their son's an atheist activist. They see me as the Pied Piper. I'm like the satanic shepherd leading lemmings over the cliff. This is how they think about people. They always think about it in terms of almost like churches, right? There's a shepherd or a pastor type who's on the stage or at a point position, and then there are followers that just blindly lead them over the cliff. And I'm like, well, you don't know anything about this movement or culture, a culture that prides itself on independent thoughts. If I get something wrong, these are the first people they're going to come forward and bring it to my attention and say, you screwed up. And just because we're a community and I'm the admin of a community doesn't mean that I'm at a greater stature or of more importance. I'm not a shepherd or a preacher or any of those types of things. But this is how, they see it. And they see, or they feel a real sense of disappointment. And I was talking about that, and the event was over, and we were out in the lobby. And this lovely woman came up. Lovely woman. And she came up to me and she took my hands, both of them, as I recall. And she said, I just want you to know that if I was your mother, I would be so proud of you. And I, right there in the lobby, started crying like a baby. I mean, it just happened. I was just weeping, I could not process the kind of kindness that she had shown. If I was your mom and I looked at you, I would feel pride. I would feel pride that you're doing what you feel is right, and you're playing to your gifts, and you're making a difference. I just freaking bawled like a baby and hugged her, and it affected me the rest of the weekend. I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I think about her still. You know, in some ways, the family you choose and the family that chooses you. I think that's amazing. Okay, 719. Who's this?
Hi, Seth.
Hi, who's this?
Hi. Sorry, my name's Kyle.
Kyle, thanks for calling. What's on your mind, my friend?
You know, I think about a lot of times when I'm talking with my wife. My wife is a much different person than me, and I kind of advertise this quite a bit because I think it's funny. But she's a conservative Christian person. I'm very liberal, very much an atheist, and we have 3 kids together. And you know what I've found through kind of raising a family with somebody who doesn't necessarily share the same belief systems or even the same social systems, the ideas as me, is that there's a lot of compromises to be made. You know, and that ultimately my wife wants what's best for my kids. And she understands the world differently than I do. And I think about that when I talk to my religious friends, you know, that when they say, you know, God bless you or something like that, or, you know, or something like any sort of affirmation of religion, that's just how they see it. So when they say something to somebody who wants to commit suicide or has expressed, you know, suicidal ideations, that, you know, God believes in them, I think it's sometimes it's their way of trying to say you are valuable because they understand, at least in their mind, that the love of a God is a valuable thing, and that people, maybe they forgot that they have this divine entity that loves them. But I don't know. Like, it's just my
I don't
thought on kind of
doubt
the whole
that many
thing.
of those people are sincere and genuinely believed a heartfelt sentiment that you are created by God, the precious, you know, offspring of the divine. It's just that I worry that, first of all, it's a cop out because no one's having to pursue a or present a genuine solution. It's almost like saying, I will go pray for you when somebody's in the hospital, you know? And
I don't disagree with that.
it's, you know, you get a chance to, you know, say a few words, the words fly up into the ether, and you feel like you've done something while accomplishing nothing, while there might be some genuine physical needs to be met. I think that's fair, but I understand your larger point that this is how people have been trained to express themselves, and it often comes from a heartfelt place of sincerity. I mean, I buy that.
I also have learned to say stuff like, I understand that you care, but like, I need help. You know, that's what I've like. That's not going to cut it for me in a nice way. And the weirdest thing too, and it's just maybe a little side note, is my wife's family is very religious. Like fundie, we got a family group text message when Roe v. Wade went down of like, thank God for Christians who finally took in the Supreme Court system. And I was like, I don't even know how to respond to this. Like, I guess the best response is not to. And something that made me laugh while I was sitting on hold was I remembered that I actually tucked your book away, the Christianity Made Me Talk Like an Idiot book, because my sister-in-law is coming into town, and this is not a conversation that's going to be productive with her if she sees the book. So I was like, oh, let's stick something over the top of it. But I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm conceding too much ground when I talk about things like this, or when I do things like tuck a book away that, you know, might necessarily lead to a conversation I don't want to have. But at the same time, I understand. I was never religious. Maybe I just don't. Maybe I'm missing some perspective.
Well, if you don't want to have the conversation, I think that's fair. It's funny when I used to have people over. Sometimes I have my books framed. Natalie always frames a book when it publishes because she's just, you know, despite the fact that we have our disagreements on spiritual matters, she is proud of me, right? She's the family I choose. And so she takes the book and one of the first prints, and she'll take it down and have it framed for me under glass. It's just such a beautiful gesture. And when I had some friends over who were religious, and I knew they were going to come up and take a look around, you know, we'd show them the house. I did hide the books for a while. I would turn them around or I'd stick them in the closet. And after a while, I thought, why am I hiding a valuable part of myself? But I made the decision in my own mind that I was ready to have that conversation if it came up. And if you're not ready, then I think you just, set the rules the way you want, set the environment the way you need, do what you got to do, and don't feel guilty for it. My hope, though, is that you can be publicly authentic at some point, that you're not always the one because I kind of feeling your friends probably aren't hiding all their shit when you go to their house, right?
Oh no, but my friends. So there's a difference between my wife's family and my friends, right? The conversation of the family that you choose. I chose my wife. I didn't choose her family. she, I'm not gonna tell them about my religious views or lack thereof, or the fact that I think it's all a bunch of bullshit. But what I am gonna do is tell my friends and very blatantly be like, yeah, that's horseshit, even if they are very deeply religious. And that's just because I want to be authentic. You know, didn't always have like the best moral or social compass when I was younger, and I kind of developed that when I hit my mid 20s, started really understanding the world around me and what empathy truly meant. So I would hide the dumb and bad things that I would do, and I would I would lie to people about who I was or what I was up to, and it always caused way more stress. And at some point I broke. And I looked at like everything around me and said, no more secrets, no more BS. And I've made very few concessions to that. My wife's family is one of them. Some of them know that I'm an atheist. Uh, Mostly just I understand their viewpoints. I understand that they're not going to be hurt by it. But I'm 20% sure my brother-in-law would try and exorcise me. I didn't
Well,
believe.
that'd make for some interesting phone video, put that on YouTube or TikTok and we'll take a look at it. But if your relationship with your wife is at play, I totally see you're playing chess and, don't beat yourself up. Just, I think be proud of who you are. You're living life on your terms and be mindful of double standards that have been put in place, especially if you're covering up an atheist book, be it mine or somebody else's, and everybody else has a Bible on every nightstand. I think that's a pretty good indicator that this is a one-sided thing, and maybe there's some equilibrium that needs to happen. So I don't know. Let me know how it all plays out, okay, brother?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank
All
you
right.
so much for your time.
Appreciate your call. He was talking about some of the stuff that he doesn't get tripped up on, like somebody says, God bless. I don't get tripped up on that either. And some of my atheist friends do. Here's one that really gets under my skin. You sneeze and somebody says, bless you. It doesn't mean anything. I don't even know why I do it. Bless you. It just slips out. Been doing it since I can remember. It's something that's been trained into me. Do I really believe that the person has sneezed out, has expelled the evil spirits, and that I am practicing the druid ritual of then blessing you because the spirit has been expelled? No. Somebody sneezed and you just acknowledge and you're like, it happens to all of us, Yeah, not a pleasant thing. Big sneeze. Oh, bless you. I've seen some people. I was at a restaurant with one guy. And he was like, well, we don't believe in blessings in this house. We root ourselves in the real world. It's just a sneeze. We say gesundheit or whatever. And I'm like, what the hell? Is this really the hill you want to fight on? Have a blessed day. I was at a drive-through. Have a blessed day. Did I stop and say, blessings from where? Blessings from Mr. Spirit Man up in the clouds? I don't believe in that. Some people need to just grow up. No. Have a blessed day. Thanks. Appreciate it. Take care. Have a good one. Bye. I'm down the road. Right? It was offered up in good faith. That's not the hill I want to fight on. Who gives a shit when so much else is going on? We can be so pedantic sometimes. We're lousy at choosing when to engage. If somebody wants to say, Jesus loves you, you are blessed by God, or whatever they find a way to insert that. It's situational. You look at it and you say, well, is now the time to engage? Because there may be a conversation to be had. Or is it just going to be a distraction? Do I have more important things to do today? Is there the time and the resources? Is this agent even going to be listening to me? Who else is watching? Will anything come of it? What are my goals? I mean, I really think it's fair to go through this sort of mental Rolodex of what the hell am I doing and why am I doing it? And does it really matter? And if somebody says, have a blessed day, you really, if they offer it up in goodwill, the right response is to say, thank you. 402 Amy, hi, are you there?
I am. How are you, Seth?
I've been ranting. I'm just ranting. I'm all cranky. And I think it's mostly because people are putting up freaking Christmas lights in the month of October, and it's just a violation. It just can't do that. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Amy, what's on your mind today? What do you want to talk about?
Well, first, I really want to thank you. I became an atheist back in like the 2017, 2018, right around Christmas time. And when I was coming to all of that, you were the kind atheist that I
Thank you. Can I
and
ask
that
you what
meant
that
a
was
lot.
like? I mean, it's Christmas time and you're crawling out of the faith. What's going on there? I mean, share as much as you want, but
Sure. I'd been questioning for a few years because I couldn't see how God could be all good and all loving and all knowing and things to be the way they were for him to send people to hell. And I'd had a trans friend who I couldn't see how them being so happy. She was brilliant. I miss her. Sorry, she passed away a few years ago. But she was so happy as she transitioned, and everyone saw her for who she was. How could that be wrong? I had been told growing up that, non-Christians weren't actually happy, but I got to know people when I moved that were joyful and much healthier than I was, much happier than I was.
so you began to really connect with humanity and a lot of the humanity that's being judged and ostracized by fundamentalist religion. You saw as worthy and wonderful on their own terms.
Yeah.
How you doing
Absolutely.
today? I mean, you holding it together? Doing all right?
Honestly, I'm probably happier than I've ever been.
Good.
I realized in the last year or so that I'm queer. I'm still trying to figure out all of what that means, but I've got an amazing girlfriend, and I've got purple hair for the first time.
Purple hair. I love it. I
Uh-huh.
love it. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. That's what hosts do.
No,
We just
no.
jump in and derail all the time. Look, before you continue, I'm going to say to you what you were thinking about everybody else. You are worthy and wonderful on your own terms. And your story inspires me and a lot of other people. And the fact that you are happy and comfortable in your skin is, I think, a testament to what life is like once we leave these constrained, controlling, fundie faiths. You are a testament to what is possible as part of the human condition. And so that's just my encouragement to you, okay?
That's huge.
How's family?
I
I mean,
have
how are
been
they
lucky.
doing with you? I see it on your on the caller notes here that you've had some struggles with your family.
I have. I've been bucking the trends for years. I've always been low vision, but my family freaked the hell out when I started in high school carrying a cane because it was better for me. I'm a blind person with some vision left, but they weren't thrilled with that. They weren't thrilled when I went to a Christian college that was not our denomination. They have not been thrilled when they figured out, well, everyone but my dad. I refused to even tell him about this, about my atheism. My mom asked at Christmas because my brothers had known, but I had not told Mom. And she was just disappointed is the best way I can put it. And I think she has blocked it because she asked my brother again recently if I really didn't believe. But now I would like to tell them how happy my girlfriend makes me. And I don't even know how to deal with it. I want to be who I am with them, but I don't. I'm tired. Everything I've done has been a battle. It's not been the worst kind of battle. I haven't been disowned. I think Dad might try it if I told him. But that's fine. I'm happy to disown him in return.
All of these blockades that have been put up, they've been put up by them. Now, you're the one leaning toward them. You're the one saying, I sure would like to have a relationship. They're the ones who are saying, be like us, do it our way, or else. And they feel that way. At least one member of the family feels that way to such a degree that you are preparing to be ostracized or shunned. That breaks my heart. But it's their fault. Amy, it's their fault. And if they cut a cord, or you have to cut a cord because they cross boundaries, that is their fault. They forced your hand. You, in good faith, wanted to connect. But you also have enough self-respect to say, you don't get to tear me down and dehumanize me and control me. So if you cross that line, that's your fault. And you forced my hand, and we've been talking a lot about the family that you choose. And, I don't want to see you disrespected. And I don't want to see people banging their way into your house telling you that you're in sin or that you're busted or that you're going to hell or blah, 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 because you're just not. You're a beautiful, wonderful, worthy person living life on their own terms. And if somebody won't accept you, bye. There's the door. Don't let it hit you. That's kind of where I've fallen, Amy. I mean, that's all I got,
Oh, God. I continue to really appreciate you. You're really the only atheist I'm still following on YouTube or Twitter. I know there are other good ones, but or not Twitter.
There's a lot of good people out there.
Whatever.
I'm just one guy, doing the best he can. I'm not the wise old man. I think I just, I'm not a PhD. I'm not a great thinker. I'm not that guy. I think what people respond to is that I'm the dude who can relate to what it's like to crawl out of a fundie faith. And I've got the communication skills to be able to articulate a lot of what people are going through in language that resonates with them. And so mostly I'm just trying to play to those gifts and not say anything stupid along the way. And I'm glad you respond to the kindness in this show, because it's something that has really been on my mind. In fact, I'm releasing a speech that I've been giving around the country called "You Are Evil and You Must Be Destroyed, Restoring Our Humanity in an Inhumane World." And it's a journey that I've been taking where I started to scar over because of all the nastiness and the name calling and the rage and the vitriol. And I felt myself changing. And I've, over the last several years especially, started to try to really make sure that while, I'll rant and carry on and go hard after the hard targets in this world, I really do want to be known as the kind show. And if you picked up on that, that makes my month, Amy. That is the best gift you could have given me today. So thank you.
Kindness to me trumps all other personal traits.
Yeah.
Intelligence is fine if paired with kindness.
Well, I hear
humor is great.
I hear the kindness in your voice, and I feel the generosity of spirit that would make you want to connect with your bio family. Give it every shot, but just realize if it doesn't work out, it's their fault. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else before I move on? I don't want to cut this off. You good?
I'm good.
All right.
If there are tears, there are tears.
All right. You got family here. You're covered. We got your back. And you take care and we'll talk soon, okay?
All right. Thank you.
I feel like I end up saying a lot of the same things when people talk about family and boundaries, and I don't mean to, beat the dead horse if you've heard my shtick over and over again, but I'm just struck by how often people who are on a family tree say, "Well, that's great because we have this bio connection. Now I've got permission to jump in with this level of expectation that you are not meeting," and I'm like, "Well, who the hell are you?" Let's see. How are we doing for time? 53 minutes. Doug at 863, you there?
Hey.
Thanks for waiting on
Yes,
me, brother.
sir. Hey, Seth, how are you?
I'm good. What's on your mind?
Seth, do you ever find yourself missing the fellowship, the community of the church? Because I have some friends that are pastors. Some of my good friends, they know how I feel. But like the other day, they invited me, a friend of mine, 50th year anniversary. He's a preacher of a small church. And everybody in town knows how I feel about religion. But I went, I was like, I found myself getting older. I'm not as hard an anti-theist as I used to be. I don't have I guess I'm getting kinder too. And these people are born and indoctrinated in this, and they really believe it. They really pray for me. They really think I'm going to hell. And I stand back and I say, I miss the fellowship, the community, but I don't miss the theocracy and the preaching of hell to children. I cannot stand that.
Well, I think that one of the main reasons people connect in a church environment is because of community, right? I mean, you think about it. You've got people who welcome you. You get a chance to belong. There's communal music, which causes brain chemistry. You actually get an endorphin rush, and endorphins are a pleasure agent and a bonding agent. You get the sense of family. If you're sick, they visit you in the hospital. You're missed if you're not there. There are activities for your children to do. You've got a tribe, and we are tribal. We've evolved to be tribal primates.
Yeah.
So, I think one of the main reasons that people continue to be part of religious communities is because of the community. I think that explains a lot of why so many of the people who are Bible believers don't even know what's in the Bible, because the theocracy, the theology doesn't make any difference. It doesn't matter that much to them. They say, well, it's not a religion, it's a relationship, but it's more about the community, the sense of belonging.
Yeah.
And we in the atheist movement need to do a better job of understanding that if we're going to ask people to cut that cord from superstition, which may mean that some people risk losing their community, what the hell are we offering in return? And I think too often we're so independently minded, so to speak, that we are not thinking in terms of community and groups and support and belonging and being neighborly and kind and looking over a lot of these petty bullshit differences that splinter us. We need to provide the type of communities that the religious are going to need when they leave. I don't know. Sorry about that soapbox, Doug.
No,
but that's kind of where
I
I'm at.
was just thinking it's kind of comical because when I do go to church, I like to go and listen and talk to. But I'm through believing, and I do know the Bible. I understand a lot, and there's some parts they don't want to believe in there, but they are, especially the Old Testament. Leviticus.
Yeah.
But I'm like, some of those older ladies, and it's almost comical. They are afraid of me. They think like I'm the devil. I'm like, I'm not an evil person. I think I'm a pretty good person most of the time. But then I tell them, if what you think is really true, I'm the one that should be nervous here. Yeah.
The heathen in
Anyway.
God's house. The Lord looks down upon you in his domain. Doug, you're awesome. I get it. I
well-
think it's a good point, a great point about community. Anything else, my friend?
Yeah. No, I just laughed. There was a preacher friend of mine. He's 70-something years old. His son's come down, the 50th anniversary wedding. And they ask him, if something happened, as a service, well, we got the will, but is anything? And he said, now this is something that, he said that he wanted me to say a few words at his funeral. And I'm like, really, preacher, shouldn't this be the other way around? He said, well, Doug, I can't offer you heaven, and you're not afraid of hell. You just like me because you like me. I guess I think you'd be honest at my service. I said, well, I just found it comical.
Yeah.
But keep
Doug,
up the good work, and
thank you, brother. All right,
care.
hang in there.
All right.
Don't put up any Christmas lights till it's at least late November for me, okay?
I've outgrown that. We haven't done that since I was 12 years old.
Don't make me come over there,
All right.
Doug. All right, be good. We'll see you later. All right, bye.
All right. Thank you, son. Bye.
Oh, I'm so thankful for this community. What a great support system and a great chance just to hang out together. You know, talk about whatever. It's weird. I'm random. It's weird, the stuff what have we covered? Christmas lights, horror movies, suicide hotlines, random family shit. What else do we cover? Boob sweat. You knew I was going to come back to that. You knew it to finish the broadcast. I'll see you back. I'm going to go tear down these Christmas lights. I'm going to make sure they don't have security cameras. I'm going to sneak up there, or at least, paint them orange with my little brush, because it's freaking October, and that's just how we roll around here. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you later.